we are covering the middle portion of the book of Esther, chapters 4 through 6. But if you've noticed in your Bible, there's a few more chapters than just 2 chapters, because we're obviously including, of course, the deuterocanonical portion, which was originally available only in the Greek, whereas the rest of the book was written in Hebrew or in Aramaic. Now, to set you up, let's say you weren't here last time. Esther, well, what's the setting? It's the kingdom of Persia. It's the kingdom of Persia approximately in the 6th century, so in the 500s. The kingdom of Persia is, of course, the successor in interest to the kingdom of, come on guys, Babylon. And Babylon had carted off the rebellious Jews into slavery and sort of exile 70 years prior, or sometime during this period. And the Jews, or the tribe of Judah and the half-tribe of Benjamin, find themselves prisoners, and they're not really prisoners, they're captives. They can go about their business. And in fact, we're going to see here a sliver of the population who decided not to return because they did so well. So it's not really that they're captives, but they're not prisoners. They're not really slaves, okay, because they're allowed to have good jobs, to rise in government, to have businesses, to have good positions, to do so well that they do so well in captivity that they don't want to go back to Israel, okay? So that's something definitely that you all need to keep in your mind, especially when we continue on with the study and we do the return of the Jews into Israel with Ezra and Nehemiah. But the setting of this chapter is the kingdom of the Persians. The capital is Shusha or Susa, and which of course corresponds to today's roughly modern day Iran is what we're talking about, Persia. And we are talking about a rash, lecherous, impatient king, as Xerxes is described by the Greek historian Herodotus, who in a drunken fit of pique, decides to put away his wife Vashti, the queen, and finds himself, for a while without a queen. He has plenty of concubines, plenty of other wives, but this woman had been raised to the queenship, and obviously there's a hole. So what he decides to do is, or what he's counseled to do, is to have a nationwide beauty pageant, or an empire-wide beauty pageant, and Esther is the winner. Esther is a beautiful and sensible and good and kind. She must have other qualities other than her extreme beauty on the outside for the king to have taken to her, so much so that he makes her his queen, so that the lonely orphan Jewish girl becomes the queen of Persia. So that's already right there the stuff of a movie, isn't it? Rags to riches. But there's a wrinkle in the story, isn't it? Because Esther has risen to such an incredible position because she's basically a closet Jew. She's hidden. She has not divulged, on the advice of her mentor, of her adoptive father, Mordecai, her ethnic extraction. And there must be a reason for that. There must have been some sort of disfavor or some sort of prejudice against the Jews in that vast empire. Now, does that ring a bell? There's always seemed to have been throughout history some sort of prejudice against the chosen people. The people who God formed with his own hand, who called out of the nations with his own covenant through Abraham and Moses. Now, isn't that interesting that there would be a prejudice throughout history, that they would be at risk? Remember, we tried to tie that into the fact that the chosen people are always going to be in the bullseye of Satan. There's always going to be some sort of satanic plan to get the chosen people. And we can see it here, and we're going to see it today, and especially next time. Now, the age-old question, so that's the setting. Esther is queen. Haman, the odious Haman or Haman, has gone to the king and has persuaded him, has basically bribed the king, I will pay you this much money in the treasury if we slaughter this inconvenient people. This people that is not like us,